Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are tuning in. Thrilled to have you in this space for our first ever Audacious Leadership Chat Live. And I'm going to be honest, it wasn't really our intention to do it live today. And it's not going to be entirely the same, but I thought it would be really awesome to get on here this evening and talk with you a little bit about legacy and the importance of thinking about legacy as a leader. So, if you don't know me, I am Nkoyo Effiong Lewis, career and leadership strategist on a mission to revolutionize the world of work, one leader at a time. I work with social impact leaders to turn their audacious vision into actionable steps that generate revenue, engage stakeholders, and transform the world. And so I have been building a community along with some amazing leaders in law, education, healthcare space to talk about how we lead more audaciously and in ways that expand access to more people in our daily work. So if you are here, welcome in. If you're watching the replay, you are also welcome. I would love for you to leave a comment. Let me know that you're in this space, engage. I will definitely do my due diligence to make sure I keep track of the chat alongside looking at the camera. But anyway, so I am really thrilled to chat with you about legacy. And I think no greater month is there to talk about legacy than February, which here in the United States we celebrate as Black History Month. And Black history is American history. And it has also been such a profound impact on the fight for civil rights. And so I come to this space as a former educator, a practicing attorney, and a consultant. And so always on my mind is equity and how we expand progress, how we ensure that progress permeates year after year. And one of the things that has stuck with me in a lot of the work that I do now is how important planning is to preserve progress. And in my world, I see that as succession planning, as having a strong plan for how your organization will turn over from leader to leader, your key staff, etc. And I know a lot of people are like, succession planning, what is that? Why should I care about that? And I hope that this conversation will at least be the beginning of a dialogue around why it is so important and is so useful for your organization. And so without further ado, I'd love to talk with you a little bit about legacy as a leader, what it means, and 5 key areas that you can focus on to make sure that you are leaving a legacy as a leader. All of us, in my opinion, are leaders. I believe that you can lead at any level. And I believe even more importantly, that leadership is an inside job first, that you can never lead beyond what you have developed in yourself. And so I'm a big proponent of professional development, personal development, so that you can understand how you engage with, interact with, and respond to all of the ups and downs, the glows and glows that comes with being a leader. And inside of our Audacious Leadership chats, we really talk about the inside, the great parts, the highs, the lows, the ugly parts, the challenging parts. And that's why we typically don't do it live, because we want to create a space where people can be brave and truly honest about some of the challenges that come with being a leader. But today, I want to talk with you again about legacy. And to me, legacy is what people remember about your leadership when you're gone. And that's not necessarily just when you've gone on to glory, but when you leave. I think that leadership and our time and tenure and leadership roles have ebbs and flows. And there will be a point in time where if you're really being strategic and concerned about the impact that your organization has, that you'll have to acknowledge that it's time for you to move on or move forward. And I think a lot of times we don't do that because we haven't planned or prepared a successor, or we haven't thought about what is the impact that I bring, or sometimes our ego gets in the way, if I could be honest. But I hope that in this conversation today, we will move past that and think about all of the tangible ways that you can right now, in whatever seat of leadership that you hold, ensure that the vision, the mission, the progress, the impact that you're creating right now continues when you're no longer the leader in that role. And so legacy and leaving a legacy as a leader really means creating that lasting impact on your organization, in your community, in society that extends beyond your tenure. And I hope you're seeing why I think this is so phenomenal to discuss in February, because so many of our civil rights leaders have left an indelible mark on this country and on the rights that many, myself included, are able to benefit from today. I am from a demographic of people who had to fight for the right to be educated in the United States. I am from a demographic of people who had to fight for the right to be able to practice law, which is something that sometimes I take for granted as being able to do. And so the choices, the sacrifices, the vision, the clarity, the conviction that many of my predecessors had to do the hard work that was necessary to change laws, to change policies, to change hearts and minds, I am a direct beneficiary of today. And my children will be, and so on and so forth. And each of us who are sitting in leadership positions have the opportunity to do just that, to pay it forward for future generations, future society, future communities, future leaders of our organization by the deliberate and intentional decisions that we make today. So with that, I want to talk about 5 ways that you can and are creating a legacy right now. And so the first is my favorite. If you joined me last month for our Audacious Leadership chat, we talked all about creating an audacious vision. And I believe that truly everything starts with vision. Everything falls back to vision. Every decision that you make is aligned to the vision or lack of vision that you have. And that's why I think it's so important to be clear, to be courageous, to be bold, to dream, to think expansively around what is possible and pursue that as best as you can. And so vision is one of the places where you are consistently creating a legacy. And when we talk about vision, we're talking about developing a clear and compelling vision for the future of the organization or the community or society. And then the other piece that I love, because I'm a strategist, is creating a roadmap to it. I'm a backwards planner. I want to know, what does the end look like? And so what steps do I need to make? What decisions do I need to make today to get there? And as a leader, your vision or lack thereof will determine how your organization makes even small decisions like, what types of products that they will use, what type of brands, etc., that they would use, and big decisions. It kind of leads to our second point around who you will work with, who you will bring on, how you will build morale and culture in your organization. And so vision to me is not fluff. It's not woozy, hokey pokey stuff. It is literally the backbone of anything that you're doing. And when you get to those moments where you're facing a challenge or a complex, complicated decision, vision is often the thing that gives you the clarity and conviction and even the courage to make what might seem like an unpopular decision at a time. So one of the ways that you are building legacy right now is through the vision that you have for your organization, for the department that you run, for that community group, for your society, whatever it is, wherever you are showing up and leaning into your leadership. Your vision is one of the most important things and places where you can leave a legacy. The second place where you can leave a legacy and that legacies are being built is in the culture that you are creating. What does it look like, feel like, sound like to work in your organization, in your department, alongside you, right? The way that we decide to work shapes a whole lot about how people see our organizations, experience them. And I would say, especially to our social impact organizations, our nonprofits, who have these amazing missions and vision and values to do things, to expand access for groups and demographics and communities and causes that have not always had the full weight and benefit of the way our society is set up. what you are saying externally to the public, to your stakeholders about why the work is so important and what you do and why you care should be reflected in the environment that your staff works in. I can't tell you the number of times I have spoken to nonprofit staff, team members, employees who are just like, it's awful to work here. But we're doing really great work. And sometimes we use that as a shield and a sword to keep people from being able to openly and honestly express what needs to change in an organization. And so, as a leader, I think it's so important to focus on culture. It has been said time and again that culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I fully believe that as a strategist. I'm here all day. I want you to get the strategy. Let's figure out how we're going to do this. But if that culture isn't right, if you don't have the trust with the people that you're working with, if you have not become influential and allowed others to have influence in your organization, if you have not, as we say under the audacious leadership tenets, redistributed power in a way that allows those who maybe have not always had access to power to have a voice, you'll never make the type of progress and transformation in the world that's possible for you. And so I think it's incredibly important that you think about culture, what excellence looks like, that you operate and lead with integrity. That's one of my core values. It's one of the biggest things that I talk with leaders about, is being in alignment with your values and being in integrity. If you are not in this world, this time and place, building an inclusive environment, you are missing out, not just because of the business case, but because of honestly how much inclusivity and the differing perspectives and diversity it has to shaping the best thoughts and actions that we have, how it ensures that we are working alongside of the communities and causes that we support, and that we're not doing things to people that maybe don't feel as affirming as we would assume because we're unwilling to listen and hear. And I think the other thing is also making sure that you have and you establish a culture of accountability. And this ties back to power, because accountability, truthfully, is literally ownership. I think a lot of times we think about accountability as, consequences and rewards and making sure someone does what they say and something we do to other people. But the reality is that we can only hold ourselves accountable. And the way that we can build accountability in organizations is to extend ownership to those with whom we work. And so thinking about culture, it's like, how are we defining excellence? How do we know when the work is done? What are the metrics that we're using? How are we operating in integrity? How are we ensuring that we are inclusive and redistributing power in ways that allow people to have ownership over the time that they're engaging with us to do something amazing? So the first two things that we talked about of ways that you can build your legacy is being very clear and concise and compelling in your vision. I like to say being incredibly audacious in that vision. Nobody wants to follow something mediocre, right? We love the stories of people who do something incredible. And so why not dream big and then dream even bigger? The second place where you can build out your legacy is in the culture that you create, recognizing that culture eats strategy for breakfast day in and day out. And so that culture will be something that people will always remember. And there's a great quote that's like, people won't remember what you did or what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. And people should feel good. They should feel empowered. They should feel hopeful at work. And I truly believe that. I don't ascribe to this, it's just work, you go in there, you put your head down and do whatever. I think that the world would be a happier, healthier place if all of us were able to find the work that set us alive, that aligned with our strengths, and allowed us to show up in our full excellence every day. The third place where leaders can leave a legacy is in innovation. I love this, and I love the idea of innovating ethically, right? Like not just taking innovation to take innovation and then do things that are not awesome for people, but actually thinking about how can you be creative, how can you leverage technology, how can you continuously improve and adopt new approaches in a way that, again, expands access that allows people who maybe haven't always been able to exercise some of their strengths to show some of those strengths and to be improved by the collective and the collaborative thinking of space. The other place where you can leave a legacy is obviously with impact, right? The deliverables, the tangible outcomes that happen that improve people's lives in your on your team, with your staff, in your community, in the organization as a whole, the things that you were able to do because you have an audacious vision that you set goals around and created a strategy to implement. All of those things, the way that you advance social causes, that you drive economic growth, that you empower, that you um, foster greater connection and community, all of those things are places where your leadership will leave a legacy. And so, impact again is one of those really great places where you can, as a leader, leave a legacy. And the last place that you can leave a legacy as a leader is with people. And I think about this in a way so much differently now than I did, I think, at any other point in my leadership journey. And, just to share a little bit of my backstory, I actually started out as a fourth grade teacher. I taught in Fulton County, Hamilton Holmes Elementary. Shout out to Hamilton Holmes. And I always tell people that I learned a lot more than my students probably learned because they opened my eyes to understanding how people develop and how important it is to be a leader who creates leaders. And that lesson, and many of the things that I learned while I was teaching, I have carried with me in the way that I have shown up when I was a program director with a national education nonprofit, when I went into the practice of law and was working at both a big law firm and then all the way down to my own law practice. But it also is something that kind of got further ingrained in me when I started having children and recognizing that every day as a mother, I am literally cultivating talent. I am literally cultivating the future leaders. And I have to slow down and be mindful of where people are. I don't know if any of y'all have experienced toddlers. They're sometimes all over the place with their emotions, but being able to hold on to both the positive and the negatives of any moment, to be reasoned and regulated myself as a leader has been a lesson that has helped me when I'm working with attorneys, when I'm working with nonprofit leaders, when I'm working with CEOs of 6 and 7 figure companies. Like, all of those skills matter because people are people and relationships matter. And I don't think that when I was younger, I really understood or appreciated that. I was definitely the girl who was like, let's go get it. Let's just do this work. It doesn't matter. We don't need to know anything about each other. We don't need to know anything about me. We just need to do the work. We both signed up to do this. And what I have learned and evolved is that everything starts with relationship. Change happens at the speed of trust. And if we're not willing to build trust with people, we cannot make the level of transformation that's possible in our organizations. And so the last place that leaders can leave a legacy is in developing and empowering future leaders, building strong teams, creating opportunities for growth and development. And all of these are things that I think are a part of a very solid and sound succession plan that is thinking about who's up next, right? What skills, what knowledge, what mindset, et cetera, do people need to develop to be able to advance here, which is also important for retention, right? Like, we are living right now in what people are calling a talent war. Our team members have options and opportunities, and sometimes it's money that makes people move to other organizations. A lot of times people quit because of a manager or someone that they are under and not seeing and either having that connection or feeling like the opportunity to grow is there. And so I encourage you to think about your people and your plan for people and really be intentional around how you are growing and developing others to ensure that even if you guys don't hit that audacious goal that you set, people can say that the process, the journey was worth it. And I think that that's transformative as well. So to recap, 5 places where you as a leader are currently creating a legacy, whether you are conscious of it or not, and can definitely develop a solid plan to move forward for your organization and for yourself, right? No one is taking on this to feel like they don't do a great job or that what they do is not impactful or to see everything that they've done be erased once the next leader comes, you know. So there are the 5 places where you can be intentional about cultivating the type of legacy that you want to leave as a leader and ensure that the lasting impact of your organization proceeds beyond you would be to focus on your vision, the culture, ways to innovate, and the impact and the people that you're working with. So I've already spoken way longer than I was anticipating, but I think that it is really important, and I would love to read or see your comments, love to engage. And absolutely, if this was useful to you, if you felt like, yeah, I need to think more deliberately about my vision and the culture that I'm creating, how I am innovating in this time, the impact that we are collectively creating, and how I am developing and empowering the people that I work with, I invite you to join us inside of our Lead Audaciously Circle. You can go to go.leadaudaciously.com/join and get connected. We have a dynamic group of leaders in, like I mentioned, law, education, and health care. We're open, obviously, to expanding to other places. To make sure that we are designing today for the future that we want our children and our children's children to experience. So, with that, I welcome you into our digital community. I hope that you'll join. Please, if this was useful, like, comment, and share. DM me. I'm always open to be in conversation and dialogue with folks who are intentional and deliberate about growing in their leadership, making sure that they are leading the impact that they want to see, and especially those who know that they know that they know that they know that they have been called, commissioned, and qualified to do something transformative on earth. So, with that, I hope you have a fantastic evening, and I look forward to engaging with you on the interwebs. Be well.